Piff the Magic Book Volume 1 is one of the biggest launches in the history of magic books. Vanishing Inc. partnered with Piff the Magic Dragon to pull out all the stops and create a one-of-a-kind live stream event in late September 2023.
I'm Piff the Magic Dragon, and I've just released my first magic book.
But the question you're probably wondering is, what's in the book, what will you learn, and is it worth it? In this episode of Erudite Magic, we're going to take a deep dive into one of the latest magic books to hit the market and help you make a decision whether or not you should pick this up. As I've mentioned before, I work for Vanishing Inc., so you should know that my viewpoint is not completely unbiased, which is why I'll do my best to remain factual to help you with your decision. The book is a hardback, full color, gorgeously photographed, and approximately 430 pages. The book was written by Piff the Magic Dragon, who has his own Vegas show at the Flamingo, with a little bit of help from John Lovick, a well-known and erudite magician who's written several books. The book has 10 tricks, lots of storytelling, humorous anecdotes throughout, tips for making the best pieces of magic that you can, plus a fair bit of profanity. That's right, this is not a book for young magicians or for those who are easily offended. This is firmly in the PG-13 camp for language. I'll note that while I am reviewing the standard edition of the book, there is a deluxe edition as well, which comes with the same book, as well as a mini tacular that not only stores the book and the other parts of the deluxe edition, but also unfolds to display the book in a really neat way. The deluxe packaging also includes a limited edition coin, a limited edition comic book, and a deck of Piff cards. The standard edition of the book retails for $70, while the deluxe version rings up at $350. Before we dive into the details, let's discuss who would benefit from a book like this. One of the biggest selling points of a book like this is that you're getting to see or peek behind the curtain of a Vegas pro, someone who people pay to see and review time and time again. He'll explain how he took good bits and turned them into great bits, how he learned to change or nuance his humor without giving up his artistic expression, how he makes small pieces play for bigger audiences. However, all of this is in the context of being a stage performer. Now, I'm not saying you won't learn anything if you do close-up. After all, that's how Piff got his start. But close-up is not the focus of the book. You'll probably get the most out of this if you are or want to be a larger venue performer. As previously mentioned, there's still plenty to learn even if you don't have aspirations to be a Vegas superstar. Speaking of things to learn, let's take a deeper look at what Piff actually teaches in the book. This episode of Erudite Magic is being sponsored by Don's Magic and Books. Don does have Piff the Magic Book Volume 1 on his website, so if you're interested in getting the thinking of this Vegas superstar, then look no further than Don's Magic and Books. And while you're there looking, check out some of his other books, those rare, one-of-a-kind, out-of-print books that he specializes in. You'll very quickly qualify for fast and free shipping if you live in the United States. And Don already has great prices on some fantastic books, so I know you'll love shopping with him if you give it a chance. Head over to his website, which I will drop down in the description below, and enjoy the new additions to your library that are sure to head your way if you shop with Don. Back to the review. As Penn Jillette joked about in the live stream and also in the book, Piff is very fond of the object to impossible premise, and you'll find that half of the 10 effects have to do with an object to impossible type routine. For example, the opening effect in the book, Triple Reveal Dog Food, which you may have already seen on TV, but in case you haven't, the performer borrows a dollar bill, an object from the wallet, and he has a participant select a playing card. Ultimately, all three objects end up inside a sealed can of dog food. Obviously, you don't have to and wouldn't want to use dog food because you're not Piff with a Mr. Piffles. But he walks you through the thinking of how he arrived at this, the gimmicks that make it all work, how you can make up your own version if you wanted to, and most importantly, the things that he learned while doing this. In Happy Birthday, Mr. Piffles, which is essentially a different type version of Al Coran's medallion effect, the audience gets to pick some random letters and numbers to make up a name for a dog. It ends up that that name is engraved on a dog collar that has been inside a locked box the whole time. Ring and Egg, which if you saw his America's Got Talent performance, it's an unforgettable piece where a borrowed ring is swallowed by Mr. Piffles. There's some comedic byplay, and eventually the dog ends up pooping out an egg, and inside the egg is the person's borrowed ring. This kind of gives you an idea of the off-the-wall, offbeat thinking that Piff brings to the table with these effects, that even though it's an object to impossible location, there's a lot of comedy going on, there's a lot of different beats, and it really is a truly impossible piece of magic. Not only does he explain it in full detail, he'll show you exactly how you need to make the props yourself, including, if you wanted to, an egg bag made out of trash bags. I don't think I need to explain what Bill in Banana is, but obviously as a comedy magician, he has a performance that is designed to get laughs as well as end with a powerful piece of magic. And rounding out the object to impossible type routines in this book, there's a thing and 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 a thing. I don't know if I said it enough times, but basically a borrowed object, and he invites you to be creative in thinking about what it could be. The object ends up being inside of a whole lot of objects, which makes it seem completely impossible and is another step beyond the old object inside a ball of yarn. However, it's not all object to impossible tricks. There are other pieces of magic as well, such as the Great Chicago Fire, which is his version of Chicago Opener. David Copperfish is a comedy mental magic routine where a goldfish that both speaks, reads, and writes is able to divine what word a participant is thinking of. Card is Straw is Piff's version of Darren Brown's Smoke. Flap cards is a fairly quick routine, some comedic byplay, and some magical moments with a young member of the audience. It basically brings a dual reality to a single reality and gets a lot of laughs. Finally, he shares the greatest card trick of all time, a routine where a signed card visibly changes piece by piece into another card still signed by the original participant. There's a lot more to all of these tricks than just this brief description I'm giving you, but I want to give you a flavor for the types of routines that you will learn in this. But perhaps more importantly than even the tricks is the other content that you'll learn in this book. You'll get insights into things like his story. The very beginning of the book is dedicated to explaining how he became Piff the Magic Dragon. It wasn't always his goal, and he really had no idea who his character was going to be. He was floundering, and I'll leave him to tell you the rest of the story. But it's an interesting story, one that is sure to inspire you as you continue to pursue what character you should be that would unleash the real you to your audiences. He also touches on camera work, how to make smaller pieces play to a bigger audience, including precisely the pieces of equipment that he uses and how he sets it up, travels with it, etc. So if you're a performer who's looking to play to bigger audiences, there are definitely some ideas in this book that will help you make close-up pieces that you might already have in your repertoire work for a bigger crowd. He talks about his trade-off on jokes. There were pieces of humor that he was using that he felt like made him lose his audience, and he had some decisions to make about whether this humor was actually adding to what he was trying to do or taking away. After having a hard look, he ultimately came away with some changes, and he'll walk you through that process of how you can change your jokes so that they'll play better. In one of the more fascinating pieces in the books, he talks about how to go from good tricks to great tricks. In all of the tricks, he's going to take you through every iteration, all the things he tried, the things that didn't work, the things that did, what made it better, the advice that he got, how it came to be. And that, I think, is one of the real pieces of value in this book. He'll also take you through all the details that go behind making a Piff the Magic Dragon costume and how it took several tries to actually get something that really worked for what his needs were. And finally, at the end, he'll share a little bit about audience interaction, sticking around at the end of shows, talking to the people who've paid to see you. There's a lot of feedback that you can get from that. In the end, you're getting all of the details. In these 10 tricks and the other essays, you're getting things he's actually used and done. This isn't pie in the sky. These aren't pipe dreams. These are real world pieces that Piff the Magic Dragon has used on TV, a Vegas stage, on his tours, etc. And although some of these pieces are no longer being used by Piff, you're still getting the blow-by-blow thinking that went into them, along with a realistic and vulnerable take about the mistakes that happened along the way. In fact, it's moments like this that make the book worth it to me. The moments where Piff cops to mistakes, lessons learned, and ways that he's changed with a better understanding of magic and his audience. Do I think that you'll use this material? No, probably not. I think most of this will be too sophisticated for the average performer. There are warnings throughout about not using his material exactly as he's teaching it, but I do think that you'll be inspired to re-examine your routines, to put in the work, to understand the beats, to not stop thinking too soon so that your magic can be the best possible version you can create. The other reason I don't think that you'll perform many of these pieces, although there are some that are eminently practical. Some of the routines require the use of an assistant. He has a version without an assistant, but you'd have to be fairly seriously devoted to doing this work and spending the money that it would take to do these pieces like Piff has. And I think most of us probably aren't willing to go that far, especially since these pieces of magic are so tailored for Piff, Mr. Piffles, his assistant, his venue. Everything about it is custom designed. And that is where you and I can benefit from reading something like this, is understanding what it takes to create a vision like Piff's and then execute on it, not letting anything get in the way, but enlisting the help of other people we know, other magicians who can help us look at this magic and decide how it could be better and what methods and other bits might play well with what you're trying to create. Ultimately, I think that you will be proud to own a book like Piff the Magic Book Volume 1. I think there's plenty to learn from what he's trying to tell you, but how much you take away is dependent on you and the work that you're willing to put into your own magic when you read about the work that a pro puts into his show. As always, my friends, I appreciate you watching, and until next time, keep reading.
I'm Joshua J, and I was involved.
Stay out of this, Josh.